1983 Honda Nighthawk 650 that is currently for sale. There's a little tape adhesive from the for sale signs on the tank. As you can see, the seat is not torn. The bike's a little dirty from sitting. Brand new ignition switch and brand new battery. It's a little cold. Of course, the temperature right now is about 48 degrees. First gear. Second gear. Third gear. Fourth gear. Fifth gear. Overdrive. Fifth gear. Fourth gear. Third gear. Second gear. First gear. And back into neutral. The brakes work on it. Horn works on it. High beam works on it. However, the turn signals in the last couple days quit working. I will figure that problem out. Probably just a flasher module went out. So everything on it except for the turn signals is currently working. They were working until 2 days ago, and it's probably just a flasher went out. Do not know as of yet, but it's got an oil cooler on it. It's got dual exhaust on it. Damn dogs. Got a full tank of fuel. It idles fine when it warms up. I did have to replace the ignition switch, the original ignition switch. The cylinder lock was cracked on and the ignition switch fell out of it, and the cylinder lock is what holds it together, so that's why it's got two separate keys, one for the gas tank and one for the locking cylinder. Underneath the seat, as you can see, the seat's not cracked, not broken, nothing's wrong with the seat. Underneath the seat is I'm not exactly sure what that is. Maybe the brains of it. It's got 4 carburetors. I'm asking $1,200 or best offer for this bike. The bike booked on Kelley Blue Book for about $1,570. So $1,200 for the bike is actually a very good deal as a starter bike. Again, it's a 1983 Nighthawk 650cc. It does show signs that at one point the bike was laid down, but the tank was not damaged, but there is a scrape there on the exhaust. There's a scrape there on the foot pedal. Scrape there on that side exhaust. A few scrapes on that foot pedal. But for a 30-year-old bike, a 30-some-year-old bike, there's no such thing as one that was never laid down. Because in 30 years, when a bike's 30 years old, it's bound to have been laid down at least once. But other than that, it's in very good shape for a 33-year-old motorcycle. There's a rectifier and voltage regulator. Right there, I'm thinking that is the alternator. So actually in pretty good shape. If I was to learn how to drive a motorcycle, this would be the bike I would choose. But I'm not wanting to learn how to drive a motorcycle. I prefer 4 wheels over 2 wheels any day. So but I do have the title for it in my name, ready to transfer. The only real spot of paint damage is right by the filler door, and that is because at some point I'm sure that it has overflowed when somebody was filling it up. I bought this bike about a year ago from my best friend, who again parked it because the ignition switch went bad, and at the time we could not find the correct ignition switch for it. We looked everywhere online. We went to parts stores and nobody had the correct ignition switch for it. There was an aftermarket ignition switch available, but there was no pigtails from that aftermarket ignition switch, which are needed to tie into the fuse block. I bought it with the intent on parting it out. I decided to take one more look around for an ignition switch, and I located a guy that had 15 of them that recently bought out a old Honda warehouse or repair shop in Washington State that basically had, you know, a bunch of ignition switches. And I bought one, popped it in, fired right up as soon as I replaced the battery. So it had a issue until I replaced the battery, with it always having to be jump started because the battery would not hold a charge. So I basically replaced the battery then also. And this is what we have. A nice running 1983 Honda Nighthawk 650cc. Excellent starter bike for somebody wanting to get their motorcycle endorsement. So I was hoping to have it sold by the end of October, which did not happen. I had about 3 people look at it, which is sad considering it's a motorcycle in October. So basically that's why I'm shooting this video, is to stir up a little more interest in this bike, so that way people that necessarily might be looking for a motorcycle but don't want to necessarily go and look and drive around to see all the bikes, and afraid that maybe it's not what they're looking for, maybe it won't start, maybe it don't run right. Well, here you go, guys. Proof positive, it runs. So don't hesitate to come out and check out the bike. Again, there's no tears or anything like that to the seat. Leather's in good shape. Leather's actually in real good shape. Got some wet spots from the moisture, but hey, she runs.